we speak about sport, and I've got 800 dairy cows and 12 staff. I look at my cows as athletes, and I look at my staff as coaches, and I'm the manager. And when you look at it like that, yes, you do staff development. Yes, you do training. Yes, you get the best physios, the best nutrition for your athletes. No, you don't leave them out in the paddock in sunshine with no water, because it's going to affect performance. And so all you're doing is taking a different set of transitional skills from one business and applying them to another. And I think in farming, we often forget that it is just a business. And that if you look at it from a sporting point of view, you actually start seeing it through a very different lens. And it makes that transition easier, I believe.
Do you think, I probably haven't spoken about it before, but like the preceding generation before them, that they're also like a little bit burnt from that? Because probably before, it's just a couple of days before deathbed, or you get the keys and then it's just out and you're left, whether that be at 50, 60 or 30 for different families out there operated. And they've sort of carried on that because they weren't allowed the time early on in the process, because they want more management control years within the family farm, or just to be working on the family farm. Because if they got the keys at 50 and you're needing or wanting to have the conversation as the 50-year-old's kids, and then that's not a very long time frame for the older generation. So they're sort of holding on to the keys as they go through this process a lot more. And I find, like, naturally, if you hand on the keys earlier, that gives each generation the time frame to get in their work capacity, or like their growth goals and everything like that. Have you looked at it like that, in terms of like the behavioral, like it just follows suit from the parents because they weren't actually given the time as well?
I think you're correct. And I think a lot of that is because, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I look at my kids, and one of them is rowing for Australia. They love the outdoors. They love hunting and fishing, and that's who I am. And so I think if you've come from a family where, one of the guys I work with, he's in exactly that situation. His grandfather gave the farm to his father, and then his father sort of given it to them. And there's been a lot of tension in that because of exactly that. But I think it's the same as, I always use the analogy. People look at AI, for example, today and go, oh, it's robbing us of our jobs. It's not a great thing. And there's as much positivity around it as negativity around it. But I look at it and go, well, when the calculator first came in, we were all still used to do long multiplication, but now we don't think anything about it. We've actually started to use a calculator to improve our ability to do mathematics. And I don't see AI any different. And I see that same thing now with the older generation. They have to understand that if you've built a successful business and you retire, I can't think of anything more satisfying than seeing something that you've created go on and continue in the same vein and adapt and improve and continue whilst you are still alive. I think one of the worst things you can do as an adult is to hold it so tight to your chest that when you then die, it blows itself apart, and you're not here to see that. And not only are your children or the people that you've got working in your business dealing with the grief of you dying, they're also having to unwrap often $1 million problems with lawyers and accountants who are all wanting to take their 5, 10, 20% clip, whatever it is. And it leaves a really horrible mess. And I've seen families blow apart as a result. And I think that's a hard question you have to have on an individual basis. And it's not one that you're going to fix in the last 5 years of your life. And I think if you look at the positive side of it, everyone has, why do we have kids? We have kids because we want to see them grow, and we all get huge amount of joy in watching them achieve their goals and achieve things. You've built a business that they're interested in taking over. Why wouldn't you start doing it earlier so that you can have more time off and enjoy watching them succeed as part of your later journey in life as well? And I think I think all of them want to do that. All of them want to do that. I just think that they actually feel they don't know how to start the conversation. And that applies to both. It applies to the 30-year-old that's helping in the business, and it applies to the 62-year-old dad who's running the business. They both want the same thing. They're just unsure of how to start that next conversation.